Decorating Pages is a podcast dedicated to taking you behind the scenes of the designs of your favorite TV shows and films. Each episode, I'll be sharing design stories from some of Hollywood's most famous sets, interviews from set decorators, production designers, directors, and actors about creating the look of TV and film, about their design inspirations, and stories that take sets from page to screen. Hello, and welcome to Decorating Pages. I'm your exhausted host, Kim Wanup. Today was the first day of shooting for All Mankind Season 4, and I'm exhausted. It all went well. It's gonna be great. I'm on a long haul of working. I think it's like 23 days in a row-ish. I had off yesterday, Sunday, but didn't feel like I had off because I still took calls and emails and worked a good portion of the day. So I don't know if you count that as off. I guess it's off because I didn't get paid. So I guess I had off yesterday, but it's a lot. It's a lot of sets coming down to the wire of details and, the shipping of furniture coming in. Everything is so delayed. I don't even know how to express to you. Chairs that should have been here 2 weeks ago, hopefully are coming in tomorrow. I mean, conference tables, which are always very hard to get at long lead times. I have 2 hopefully coming this week. Like, it's down to the wire with shipping and set dressing on this show. I gotta say, it's making me sweat. I'm getting a little flustered thinking about it. Okay, let's not think about it. Okay. Other than that, it's fun. I mean, it's that, back to school jitters last night. Like, I barely slept. Mostly because I had to be up by 5, so I barely slept. That fear that you're gonna oversleep, so you don't really sleep at night. I have that. I always have that. But the excitement of being on set, a new shooting crew, a whole lot of people I don't know, just some familiar faces from prep, and we're all there to make some movie magic, to make it tell the story that has been written. And it's wonderful to see the collaboration of all of these departments getting it together. And which is exciting because in this episode I speak with Kathleen Felix-Hanger about costumes. She's a costume designer, so you'll hear about that collaboration that production designers and set decorators have with a costume designer. So yeah, other than that, I have not watched much TV because I have been working nonstop for like the last 2 weeks. But I sure as shit took some time out to watch House of Dragons because I've been waiting a long time for that. And it did not disappoint. The sets were awesome. The costumes were awesome. I'm in with the story. I'm in. I believe it. Whatever you're telling me, I'm in. Production designer Jim Clay and set decorator Claire Nia Richards. Fantastic. So many little Easter eggs of the show of Game of Thrones. And I don't know. If you're not into Game of Thrones, I get it. You're like, oh, what's this? I get it. But for people who are into Game of Thrones, which I think is a lot because I heard that HBO Max crashed last night. The digital platform crashed because they had so many people. I guess you don't download it. Watching it at the same time, streaming it at the same time. I guess that's the right word. Yeah, that's awesome. That's camaraderie in television. That's your water cooler. I get it why they put one out at a time. It's water cooler. I mean, and the funny thing is, didn't talk about it once today. Too busy to talk about it with anyone. So that's how my day 1 of shooting went. It was awesome. As I said, on this episode, I speak with costume designer Kathleen Felix-Hanger, who started out, she just like threw it out there. I started out on a movie called Waterworld. Like, Waterworld? That was like a huge movie. Not the best movie, but huge movie. She started out as a wardrobe PA. She learned on the job quickly and worked her way up to costume designer on shows like Judging Amy, West Wing, and then became costume designer on Judging Amy and moving on to Dexter, ton of other TV shows. And then I met her on VEEP, and she is again nominated for an Emmy for Outstanding Contemporary Costumes for the HBO show Hacks. She was nominated last year and now this year. Today is the last day of voting, by the way, so get your vote in. She has a beautiful Instagram, by the way, showing not only the beautiful meals that she prepares and her gorgeous family. Her little grandson is adorable. But she also gives a peek into the world of costumes. Her IG is Felix-Hanger. Her work is presently on display right now at FITM in the Art of Costume in TV exhibit. So if you check that out, FITM is downtown LA. And obviously you can see her awesome work on the show Hacks. So I hope you enjoy. I have no one to do this. Like, I don't know how I'm going to figure it out later, like next year.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You will.
Yeah.
It's hard.
I mean, that's what I always asked everyone. I'm like, I don't understand how you have kids and do this. But everyone's like, you just figure out day to day. And it's hard.
Yeah. But I know. My kids weren't quite as little when I went. I went back to work when they were like 8 and 9, so they were a little bit older, so they were in school, so that helped. But like, I mean, I wasn't designing then, I was supervising, and I could only take jobs that were like sitcoms because the hours were better. Like, I was okay. Like, I just couldn't figure out the morning thing. That was my issue. Like, I'm like, once I got done to school, I could figure out after school, but like, who wants to come at 5 a.m. to 7:30, and just like, no one wants to do that. No. So I would be like, I always would somehow, luckily, like, worked with other designers that were moms. I was like, I can be there at like 8:30.
Yeah.
But I can't be there earlier.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
But for some, you know, sometimes you just never know unless you kind of ask or work it out, or it takes a village. It really does.
Yeah. I mean, if I go, I'd have to go back to being a buyer or something, which is fine. I'm kind of like, okay. And these shows are just so hard that whenever there's like thoughts of doing other things or another position, I'm like, maybe I could do something else, because nothing is getting easier. Even the shows that should be easy aren't easy anymore. Not in the COVID layer of it and everything, but I don't know anyone who's on an easy show.
Isn't that crazy? I know.
And besides Wheel of Fortune, which is my real backup plan.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
But I don't know. I was looking, though, funny enough, I was looking at your resume, and you worked on Judging Amy.
Yes.
Which I worked with that producer, Jan DeWitt.
Oh, you're kidding.
I did. And you know, he just died.
I've heard that. That made me so... You're kidding.
Yeah, COVID complications.
I knew he passed away, but I didn't know what it was from.
Yeah. I mean, he was up there, but...
He was a nice man.
He was, and he was funny and quirky and a little bit inappropriate, but in like a funny way, like, because he was old, so you let him get, whatever. But I know there was a lot of people, I think, from Judging Amy, because I did Bones. It was like Sam White. Okay. I think Judging Amy was like the transpo guy, and like A lot of those people came on.
I think props. Ian
Scheibel, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who I love, who I speak with here and there too. He's awesome.
Oh, I haven't talked to him in ages. Please say hi if you remember.
He listens, so he'll hear this.
Okay.
And his sister, Casey Fox, is a decorator. I don't know if you knew that, but yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I can't think of anyone else. But then when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's so weird. The weird thing is, we worked together. And I don't know. I worked with you for how many, like 4 seasons on that, 3 seasons, 4. And then when you're done, everyone just sort of goes away and then you meet up again and then you work.
I know.
But I love seeing your Instagram. I love seeing all the food that you're cooking.
Oh,
which is always such like a wow. I wish I came over for dinner. And then I love seeing your little chubby little grandchild. So cute.
I know, and he's not so chubby anymore. He's like 2, he was 2 in April. So, and now all of a sudden he got like,
because he's
toddler-esque, he's like tall and like, I was like, he lost his chubby and I am devastated about it. I told my daughter-in-law, like, you have to have another one. Like, hurry up. Yeah. Like, have another one.
The chubbiness.
Yeah, it's fun.
He is adorable. And it's I believe they live in Hawaii. So then there's another thing I'm jealous of, that you get to go to Hawaii all the time. And
I know. I'm going in a couple weeks again because I don't know when Hacks is starting. And I was just like, I'm just going to live my life. I can't wait around. So
yeah. How did you start in this? Did you said that you did it and then you had kids and came back to it?
No, I started, my very first job was on a film called Waterworld.
Well, that was a pretty big job.
I know. I was literally the lowest person on the totem pole. My family's in the business. My stepfather was a producer. Mm-hmm. He no longer is working. But we were all supposed to go to Hawaii for this like family just summer, because the film was happening on the big island of Hawaii. And one night at dinner, my stepdad was like, do you want to work on the movie? And I was like, I don't know how to do anything. Like, what would I do? I have no idea. He's like, I think you'd be good in the costume department. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, really, I literally was like, sure, that sounds fun. My kids were like, they were 8 and 9 that year. And I was like, oh, that's fun. And I'll just, have a little summer thing. And I went over there and I started working and I just did whatever anyone told me to do. I literally was like followed around the supervisor and there were so many extras on that movie. So I did fittings with extras. Some days I would work with the age or dyer. Some days I would go on set. Like everyone knew that I didn't know how to do anything. So I just was like a sponge. I really was. I mean, I've been on film sets my whole life because growing up, but never really, was involved in that way, obviously. And when I started doing it, I was like, oh my God, this is so amazing. Like, it's just so fun and so amazing. And I really felt like I had this crash course in how to be a costumer. And I just loved it. And I came back to LA and I got a job at Western Costume and I got my union days and I was able to join 705, which is costumers. And then I just started working. I just started working and very soon, I started supervising fairly quickly. And then I just, my first design job was on Judging Amy. I had supervised for a bit and then they lost a couple of designers and they kept hiring other people. And I was like, I think I could do it. I think I would like to do it. And the producer on Judging Amy, this man named Joe Stern, called me and he said, I believe in you and I'm going to give you a shot. So he gave me the job. And it was like, I always think about that, like just the randomness of people just believing in you. Like, there's no like magic sauce to like, people come in and they're like, I talk to young people like, how did you start? I'm like, well, my story is so bananas that I just don't like. I don't even know what to tell you. Yeah. I just feel like
everyone's
I was very lucky.
Yeah,
I know. I just feel like I was really, really lucky, and then I just started designing, and I really loved it. I like the collaborativeness of it. I like the actors. I like all this crazy meetings. I like that every day. I like that every day is different.
Yeah.
There's like, and I think at my core, and I think probably all of us that work in the film business in this production are like problem solvers. So you have to it's like a big gigantic puzzle that I'm trying to always figure out, and so I like that part of my brain is satisfied.
Yeah.
A lot of the times, and then just the creative part is super. It's like sometimes it's like you can get like, I hope that I'm not jaded, because I do really feel like it's so incredibly fun what I do, and I still really enjoy it. Like, I mean, there's days, believe me, when I'm like, good God, why is this so hard? But if everyone just did it my way, it would be so much easier.
Yeah.
But then there's the other part of me that's sort of like, that's actually not my job, is to like sort of make the vision of the creators come to life. So like, it's like ultimately I always am answering to someone.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
I was, when I started thinking about talking with you, I was, I'm always excited to talk about with someone who's not like in the production design and everything, and how we relate to each other, and how I speak with costumes of like just alert, like it's a red sofa, or like, hey, if the designer tells you like, yo, this is like a yellow room, like, and how we have to collaborate together. But I also was thinking, God, I know the difference of some of the titles from working, but I really don't know, like, from key costumer to supervisor to designer, exactly what everyone is doing. I mean, I'm always blown away that, like, when you guys have background, that they're in sync. Like that, I always think about that. I'm like, at least I'm not in costumes, because there's 100 extras right here. Like, but they all look like they should be, in DC. So like, nailed it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big endeavor, and none of us do it alone. So like, your key costumer sort of is like this. It can vary. Sometimes the key customer does shopping. Sometimes the key customer is more of like a liaison between like the office part of the department and the set, making sure that both those entities are running smoothly. Supervisor is really sort of the hardest, most underappreciated job, because it's like doing all the budgets, which I always do the budgets with my supervisor, but doing budgets, doing the script breakdowns, doing manpower, hiring crews for the big background days. It's like a big sort of logistical, overseeing of the department. And then the designer is, responsible for like the creative, the look, interpreting, going to all the meetings, fittings. I personally don't work with an assistant costume designer, because I mean, sometimes I feel like I use my key more as like a shopper to help me, right. But I really still feel like hands-on is more how I feel I can do my job. So, I mean, I know that people use assistants because their jobs are big, and I don't know.
There's a lot of assistant decorators now also on these huge shows. There's a lot, because you just can't, like, I think about it even now, like, why are there 2 ADs? How am I supposed to prep this when I'm shooting this? And it all has to be like at 100%. Like, I know that we all think that. So if there's 2 ADs, why isn't there 2 costumers, 2 decorators, 2, like, sometimes I think like, God, we're really getting like shafted here, because we're doing all the double work all the time.
I know. I feel like what you do is so also like hidden in a way. I mean, everyone comes to set and sees your beautiful work, but like no one sees the mad scramble behind it, you know. And I remember seeing you on VEEP, and it'd be like, you'd be standing there in the set with this cute little smile and
crying.
Like, I know. I'd be like, how are you? Like, oh, it was so horrible.
Yeah, it sucks.
But look, but then like, look at it. I'm like, oh my God, but it looks amazing. You're like, yeah, I don't know how it happened. But I would think about, like, I think attitude, right? You just have to sort of like, some of it is sort of,
well, like you were saying, like, we're just problem solvers. Like, okay, well, this is the location. We can't paint. We can't do this. What am I going to do here? Like, what? It's problem solving, and it's just made so much harder by scheduling and timing and, you know, everything that we deal with. I always, you know, when I come in, we come in super early sometimes, but there's always some sort of like, well, at least I know like hair and makeup and costumes are here. Like, I know other departments are walking around in the dark like I am.
I know. It's so crazy. But sometimes I think about like what you guys do. And I mean, everyone has their challenges, but it's sort of like, I'm sure you probably think like, how does the costumes, how do you dress, you know, 150 extras? But I sometimes think, how do they dress an entire set the night before? I don't understand how that happened.
It is.
And I've been doing this a long time, and I still don't. I come to set and I'm like, wow, look what they did. It's amazing.
But I do think about like when they have like last minute schedule changes, like, oh my God, that extra breakdown. Like, how are they gonna, first of all, how are they gonna get all those people? How are they gonna change all those people? And then like, oh, did they have to rent that? And now they gotta rent it now? Like, do you buy more, or do you make more, or are you renting?
Well, it depends on the project, but for hacks, we, it's sort of 50-50. I really like, if I'm going to like think about spending my money or the show's money, to think about buying things so that then there's like something at the end of the show. Like, so you have, closets for your actors. You have, you're building sort of a closet for extras and background players, you know, that you can have from season to season. We did rent quite a bit on season 2 of Hacks. We did a lot of, I don't know, have you worked with Universal before?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've been up there because we will pull for like closets and like things to throw around the set here and there.
But I don't know if have you used the assets over at Sted?
Oh yeah.
That was like a miracle to
me.
I was like,
it's the best.
I was so, I mean, that was like this like gift of a gift, because we pulled so much from the assets and it was just there for us to use, and that really helped us a lot.
That started I think like my last season on Parks is when I think that they started that TV Asset Center.
It's amazing.
And it's perfect. It's like it's free for the Universal shows. Mm-hmm. It's all their acquisitions from television, and like the prop house gets all the film acquisition. They get all that, but then the TV stuff. The problem is with it now for us on the decorating. I mean, they have smalls, they have lightings, they have everything, but the problem is there's too much stuff. Like, and couches are on top of couches, and you can't actually see what, because the space isn't like huge, so they really got to thin out over there. But it is a gold mine. It's perfect for us because it helps your budget so much.
Yeah, we really made great use of it, especially for season 2, because I was great. It was such a like. I was like, I can't believe that this is all just here for us, and I mean, it helps so much with the extras because we had a lot of extras this past season.
I love Hacks. I love this show. It's when you're designing for the character, is your focus like character and palette or body type? Like, there's so much for you to consider trying to keep someone in character but stay stay that way. Like you could go crazy, you know what I mean? Like you could get out of character, I think, so easily with clothing.
Yeah, I mean, especially with like Deborah Vance, Jean Smart's character on Hex, I had such a sort of clear vision of her from the very beginning. Mm-hmm. So she's actually pretty easy for me and very fun. Like I love her so much. I think she's one of the most amazing characters I've ever got to sort of design. But I really have to sort of always remember with her that not to make her a caricature. So I really try to like make her fabulous, but also believable, and like that if you saw her walking down the street, you wouldn't say she looks like she's in a costume, you know? Right, I mean, right. So that's sort of my gauge with her. But I mean, in general, I definitely always think about character. I always think about like, where would this person shop? How does this person collect clothes? Does she, I think about all these things. I think about like where they live, what kind of income they have, all of those things. So I feel like my approach is definitely character and then story. Like I don't want to like take people out of it. I try to like add a layer that's complementary to telling the story, but not, I don't ever want to distract people either from like what's happening. Like, I think it's, it's like I think of it as like painting a picture. Like we're all sort of have a little bit of like, we all have our little brush and we can do a little bit, so like with costumes and production design and set design and the cinematographer. And I think that's all like, think of us all in that same sort of visual storytelling thing, which is why it's so great when I do jobs and I have a connection with the decorator or the production designer on like a very real way that like feels like we're all doing the same thing. That's super satisfying. It's something like sometimes it's not because you don't want to have the connection. I mean, sometimes it's just such a mad scramble that you don't even see each other. And especially with COVID, you're like,
we don't even have meetings together anymore. Like we don't, I don't see you on the Zoom. I don't even see you.
And then if you don't see them with like the mask on, I worked an entire season with people with masks on. When I saw them with the mask on the Zoom, I literally had no idea who they were. I was like, who's that person?
Yeah. I never knew you had a beard. Like that's the best thing when you meet guys and then all of a sudden they take their mask off and they got facial hair and you're like, oh. Yeah. I didn't think that was how it was going to go, but I guess, that's who you are. Cool. Yes. I think a lot about VEEP, and one of the first things Jim Glosser told me when I came on the 4th season, and you had been on previously, right?
I came on, I started in, I came on in season 3, so I did 2 seasons in Baltimore.
He said, when we do furniture for Selena, she needs to pop. We need to be, you can't have like bold sofas or anything like that. Like they're going to pop her with her wardrobe. So that was always in my mind of like, she needs, I don't know if it was you or if it was in an interview I saw with Julia of like her wardrobe needed to be so terribly uncomfortable looking at all times because
she wanted it so tight.
Tight.
That was just part of how she like got into the uptightness of Selena Meyer and how like controlled she was. So like all of those pencil skirts and the high heels, like I cannot even believe sometimes she would get her feet in those heels and I would say, can you walk? In the fitting I would say, can you walk in those shoes? She goes, I don't have to walk very far.
Yeah.
It's okay. I think I can do it. And I was like, there's other, no, I love them. No, they're perfect. Like she would suffer for like the shot or the look, whatever. She would very much be like all in. Like, I don't care if it hurts. I don't care if can't breathe for the entire scene. I am wearing it.
And it's so dead on of who Selena was. And I think about those and how perfect Julia looks in everything and how tailored you had them. And there's I like so many outfits pop out to me, like the little Peter Pan color one with the white and the black, or that like that the really tight red, like you always, I think that was the thing, she was always in red in the first episode.
Yeah.
And like that the wardrobe of Selena Meyer should be just like the epitome of who a woman should be. I just love everything that she had.
Thank you. She was really fun. I missed working with Julia too. It was really so much fun to work with her. But that one scene that we did, I guess it was the finale, right? At the library when we had all the mannequins dressed.
Yeah.
That was actually really fun for me because I thought, you don't see like over the seasons like it all sort of together like that. So it was sort of a little personal walk down memory lane.
Yeah. Especially being a president, like that has to be in your mind of like, well, you have to put this in a press conference, or you'd have to, she's supposed to meet important people. Like, it's so fun. And then having, a character like Amy and then all the men in the suits, like, I just always think like the slouchiness of like Mike, like there's so much character in their wardrobes in VEEP. It's so phenomenal to me. I love it.
Oh, thank you. I really, it was such an amazing show to do and be a part of, but also like it taught me so much, the density of that show. Yeah. I don't know how to describe it any other way when I talk about it sometimes to people, like, just like sometimes we would have 15 actors in a scene and then 12 of them would be principal, our regulars, and then we'd have like 3 guest casts that like I would probably be fitting at 5 a.m. the day that they were working because it just was bananas. And then trying to make sure that no one was in the same, like, trying to make the guys look all different, even though they were all in suits. I was really conscious of trying to give them their own, like, Dan Egan, Reed Scott's character, was very different from obviously Mike McClintock. And then, you had Jonah Ryan and like all these people. Like it was a big challenge to make the men just stand out from each other.
Yeah.
Because, a suit and a shirt and a tie, you're like, what can I do with this?
How many
for
times?
15 people? Like, how many ways can I reinterpret this? But we had just so many clothes at the end. I can't even.
Oh, I remember.
Like,
I had so much. I had a football field full of dressing. I was thinking this to ask you though. Do you think it's harder to costume contemporary than period?
Yes.
Yes, right? It's so much harder.
I mean, I've done a few period pieces and it's like very small things. And you sort of have a template, right? You have, you have research and there's, photographs and images and whatever, you're looking at a specific time period. So in a sense, you're sort of reinterpreting, but you also want to make sure it's period correct. I mean, I think that contemporary it's harder, it's you're trying to give a distinctive look to characters that walk around and in present day. And this, especially during COVID, like it was sort of, it was difficult to start up a show because like there wasn't access to that much stuff, right? Like you couldn't get in the stores, you couldn't, the costume houses were like limited hours of pulling. And so it was like very tricky to sort of even find things.
Yeah. 'Cause I was thinking about Hacks and how like there's that, well, the location sort of layer, like she lives in Los Angeles and there's a character piece, like that's a look, and then her age, and then her like she like money, no money, like there's so many things to think about when you do contemporary. And I would feel you probably don't want to pick up too much on what's trendy, right? Or do you dive more into that?
I don't normally like it unless it's sort of character specific, you know what I mean? But I always think about, I always base it first with the character, unless I don't like, and also I also think about like longevity of television shows, like sometimes because now things last forever. So I was very mindful of that, especially with VEEP, because I thought I really want to give Selena Meyer like a silhouette that's going to make sense when we see it 10 years from now, 20 years from now, like that, hopefully it doesn't look dated. It just looks classy. Hopefully. Classy. Yeah. That was my goal with her. But same with Deborah Vance and Hacks. I try to like she was, I found so much inspiration in her, because I was like, okay, she's a woman of a certain age, but I also didn't want to make her cartoony or a caricature of like a Vegas comedian. And I wanted to give her a sense of like style. She has money. She has taste. She's a collector. So I kept thinking like that she has like this, beautiful, silk robe that she wears. Like it could be 20 years old. It doesn't matter. It's like she like has pieces that she loves. So I thought about that a lot with her. I try not to delve too hard into like what's trendy at the moment, because then I just think your show looks a little dated after a while.
Yeah, it's like when they have a guest star on and it's like Miley Cyrus or something. like you're like trapping yourself into 2004 or something. Yeah. I always feel like that, like, don't have that don't have that on. That's not gonna be good in like 5 years. But yeah. I also noticed in looking, you have so many strong women that you've costumed like through your shows. Even like Judging Amy, and like it must feel good to be able to have projects that have such strong female presence.
It really, I've thought about that a lot over the years, because when I first started and when I was working on Judging Amy was also one of the producers. And so like that was my first experience of working with a woman that was in the show, but also behind the scenes. So, and just like the grace and the ease of which women-led productions seem to have, it makes a difference a lot of times, I think. And I've worked with amazing women producers that have also been like, I don't know, I've worked with amazing men producers also, but it's just, I feel like there's something about a show that is, has a lot of women in department heads.
Yeah.
That somehow feels more, I always find those projects are much more collaborative. I feel like the departments support each other more. I never have felt like another woman has tried to undermine me, or I feel like it's actually the opposite, and I'm always so grateful for those experiences, and just mindful of that, how it just makes a difference, I think.
I think about the characters and everything that like I decorate for, and then in looking at your set, your women too, and it's nice that it hasn't been less. Like we see more and more of it, which I think is really nice. More female led characters and shows and everything, and it's just nice that it's not, I used to have shows where, so it's, and I think you're right. I think there's a lot more females in the room. There's a lot more diversity on every level, I think, in the last like 5 years, I think. I mean, so it is really nice. I hope we get back to real meetings at some point. Like
I know
the Zoom meetings are so uncreative. I feel there's just something that's lost in that, looking at stuff or like talking or sidebarring things with each other, and like it's just so hard. I think creatively it's really beat us down a little.
I agree. I mean, there's like the ease of a Zoom meeting is like, okay, I can be in my office, or I could be, some people, I know some people are in their car, when you're, I mean, it does make it sort of easier to like manage your day sometimes, but I do agree. Like there's no replacement, I think, for being in the room together.
Yeah.
I really think it's like it's a different kind of, I don't know. Cause then like sometimes things come up and I'm like, oh, I have a thought. Like I'd be like, oh, I see your face sitting across from me. And I'll be like, I'll text you. I'll be like, what color are you going to put? Blah, blah, blah. And, and then like, and sometimes on the Zoom, I'll be like, oh yeah, I had my little note, but then it's just not the same immediacy, I guess, is what I'm missing.
And yet it's all getting done, which is even more scary. Yeah. And we've been doing it because you're right. You starting Hacks, because I even knew that you guys started out really quickly, because I started back like August of 2020, and I think you guys had 2-ish.
Were you doing Rutherford at the time?
No, I was doing American Crime Story.
Okay. Yeah, because I think we started, it was probably like September, maybe, I think 2020 when we started prep for that. And I just remember being so grateful for Morgan during that time, because I was like, I don't know what is happening, but I'm just going to put all my faith in him, because he's going to keep me safe.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do what he tells me to do. I don't know what's happening, but I'm just going to, because I said, how is this going to work? Like, because even with fittings at the beginning, it was very complicated, and because I think he was doing Rutherford at the time, and his costume is, Kirsten was like, Kirsten Mann, I think, was doing it. So yeah. And he would say, well, this is how she's doing it. I'm like, how's it working for her? He'd be like, it seems to be okay. Like, okay. So it was sort of like he sort of had the template with Rutherford a little bit before we started on Hacks, which helped, I think.
Since with COVID being such a factor, was there a lot of like, can you just tell me your pant size and we'll go from there? Or is it like, no, you still have to come in for fittings? Like was there any sort of like,
No, I mean, I still did fittings. I mean, if it was like a day player, if it was someone that had a couple lines, sometimes I would ask them to bring things, but we would always do like maybe a day of fitting or something like that. I can't let it go.
Yeah, no.
Like it's like, I mean, the fittings at the beginning were difficult because we had, masks and shields, and I would like give the actor the clothes and then step out of the fitting room, because in the fitting, it's not just me and the actor, it's me, my supervisor, and then our tailor. So there's like a lot of people in a small space.
Yeah.
So we really had to like give the actor some space, and then and then their fitting photos, they all have their mask on their face. It's like really, like I would be like, this is the craziest thing in the entire world.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. But yet it all got done, and
Yeah. I know. I always think like wardrobes have the best masks. Like I've seen, like, because we have to wear like the N95 still, but people are putting like things over top, or like I've seen chicks with like sparkles. I'm like, oh, you're doing it up, like.
I know. I could not get the when we had the mask and the shield, and then I had glasses on, and everything would fog up, and I'd be like, I can't. First of all, I can't breathe. Second of all, I can't see. So I don't know what the point of this is.
No,
it was really hard.
The shields were the worst. Like that was like 3 months of like, I don't think anyone know what TV looks like. Because I'm sure editing had a lot to do, because it was constantly fogging up. No one could hear each other, and like, yeah. So
I know I was always getting sort of reprimanded by the COVID people, who were lovely, but just like, I would be like, they're like, you're too close to your set customer. I'm like, well, I have to tell her something, and I actually can't hear her unless I'm like literally 6 inches from her ear. I can't. She can't hear what I'm saying to her. You can't read lips, so I can't.
No.
It was just the strangest experience.
I'm not looking forward to all of the limited series that are going to be made about COVID that we have to do. I'm not, in about 5 years when they look back and like, I'm not looking forward to that at all. I keep thinking about it like, ugh, I don't want to do that. I hope there's not a plethora of them.
I know. I do get some satisfaction of the shows that have sort of come back that have like no mention of COVID at all. They just keep like, they just went right on like it never happened. There's no masks. I'm like, oh, I can live in that world for a little while.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. Do you have your outfit picked out for the Emmys?
I do.
Yeah. Are you, I'm going to try to go to that Academy mixer. I think it's next Saturday.
Next Saturday. Yeah, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
I'm glad it's like, because it's usually just the peer group, but this year it's like it's a costumes and production design and I think editing, and like one
and I
more.
think hair and makeup too.
Makeup. Yeah.
Yeah. It should be fun.
Yeah. It's always like, I'll do anything to get out of the house right now. I'm down for anything. Just let's get made up and go out. Like I miss it. I miss it so much. From COVID and twins. I miss it all.
I know you have a double whammy, don't you?
Mm-hmm. I also saw you posted the FITM, the costume design that's on display, their TV exhibit. That's awesome.
It was really fun. I went last night. It was the opening night, and it's such a beautiful exhibit. It really is nice if you get a chance to go down there. And I mean, it's just they did such a beautiful job. I mean, all the costumes are on display, and then they did this whole like one room. There's this whole big wall, and each show is like a dedicated like I don't know, a couple minutes of like a video thing of all their costumes. So it's really beautiful, and you know everyone's work is so fun, and it's fun to see the costumes actually in person up there, so,
yeah. I always love to see costumes in person, and especially like how tiny they are. Everything's so tiny, and you're like, who's that for? Is there a child on that show?
That's a child size, but actors are tiny little people.
I do have a funny story. When I was nominated for an Emmy for Bones it was 2009. You know, there's only a couple Emmy parties, and FITM was one of them. They had like, it was like a cocktail reception down at FITM, and I was like, ooh, the costumers are having a party. I need a dress. Like I had this Bagley Mishka, tight fitting, feathers on the bottom.
Oh, I bet you looked amazing.
Yeah, well, I was the only one dressed up. So I got there and I was so embarrassed. And it was so hot because it was like now like August and humid.
That's funny.
And I mean, there was definitely people like looking good, but no one was like dressed up. And I was like, okay, note to self, this was just a party. This wasn't like... But the people...
You were excited.
Oh my God, I was like, I'm just... Oh, wow, I gotta get dressed up. I mean...
I think it's amazing.
Because I was like, well, this is the costumers party. I have to do something cool. And then I was like, oh my God. I actually didn't even want to get out of the car. Aww. I was with this other art director and his wife, and I was like, I don't know. I don't think I did it right. I think I'm overdressed. And then we were like, F it, let's just drink.
That's right. Have a martini. Have a good time.
So then I just went with it and did it. But so I won't be that dressed up next Saturday night. But yeah,
I know. What's so funny is like last night at the FITM event, the dress code said festive attire. I'm like, that's very subjective, right? That seems a very like. I think at least the Academy it says cocktail. I'm like, I can understand what cocktail. Festive. I'm like. Festive can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people.
Yeah, that's a mixed bag right there. Yeah. But fun. It sounds fun.
Fun. Yeah.
I hope you get it. I was hoping, you know, because costumes and lighting and production design, they offset every couple of years of voting. Like we vote in your category and I vote, but this year I got lighting and I was like, damn, like for Kathleen.
Oh, thank you. It's fun. I mean, it's not something really. I was very surprised when I was nominated last year, happily so. But and this being nominated again just feels like kind of validation for the first one.
Oh my God, yes.
Like,
Are you kidding?
I was like, oh, so it wasn't a mistake. It was like, well, it just feels nice. But I mean, it sounds so corny, but I'm like, it'd be lovely to win, but I'm not even. It's so just fun to be invited to this party. I can't even stand it. So it's so good.
It is. I have to say, I would have to say that being nominated is really awesome because you're a winner until you don't win. Basically, like if you have the mindset of like, I'm a winner, I'm nominated, like this is awesome. And then when you don't win, you're like, oh, okay, well, it was still awesome. Like that, then you realize that whole process was awesome.
I know, it's been really, the whole thing has been fun. And it's been like, as costume designers, I'm sure what you do too, you don't work with other set decorators, right? You don't work. So I don't work with other designers. So it's been so nice to sort of, over the past couple of years, to get to know these people and to like we've done events and panels together. And I just feel like everyone is super like thrilled for everyone else. Like it doesn't feel like it's a competition at all. It just feels very like, oh my God, it's so amazing you were nominated, and then you just feel like, I don't know, it's actually very nice and feels very celebratory for like your craft, which feels good.
Yeah. I do feel too, there's so many good shows. So many good shows. It's so hard to distinguish good work and great work and phenomenal work. Like everything, because we know crazy. We're working in it, everything is phenomenal. The fact that anything got up on that screen is phenomenal, people.
I know. I feel that way too. It's like there's so much good stuff, and then how do you pick? It's just like it's such a random thing. Like how do you decide like, who's quote the best? Like it seems sort of like it's just a random thing. So I don't know how it works, but
it's fun.
It is fun.
I have to tell you, she is just the most gentle and poised woman. I've never seen her sweat. I've never seen her break out in frustration. She's just always calm, cool, and collected. Her taste is impeccable, obviously, from the characters you have seen her costume. I'm so excited for her and her team and their nomination and wishing them just the best of luck. It's funny too because she was describing the other different positions in the department, and I started thinking how they relate to positions in my department and how they parallel in that sense. And it's just fascinating because I don't really know a lot of what other departments, what positions are. I mean, I know because I work with them, but I can't break down what a costume supervisor does. I honestly don't know. And so this to me is very educating. And it's true. Costumes, hair, makeup, set deck, we are there before the sun rises. This morning, I was at set at 5:48 and I had to wait 12 minutes. No, sorry, 6:48. I'm tired. 6:48 because I couldn't get into the location till 7 a.m. I was actually waiting at 7 a.m. So we all start before the sun rises. So if you want to get into this, just know that, because I actually hate getting up early. So I'm kind of in the wrong position. I like to sleep. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed Kathleen, and I can't thank her enough for giving me the time. And again, Emmy voting closes today. Hacks, they're up for many Emmys, including Outstanding Costume Design. So good luck to them, and good luck to the production design team is also nominated, so good luck to them also. Coming up on the next episode, I have production designer Joshua Peterson. And I watched this show that he production designed called Everything's Trash, and it's pretty funny. It's on Hulu. Check it out before the next episode. He's also done that damn Michael Che show, Life with Beth. So, yeah, that's coming up next time. I hope you got an earful. My name is Kim Wanup for Decorating Pages. Labor Day is just a few weeks away, and no better way to celebrate than floating on your Stovey Floaty luxury float. Available now on Etsy and StogieFloaty.com.
Welcome to Pro Tips for the Pros, brought to you by Floor & Decor Bailey's Crossroads. In this series, we'll explore essential advice for professional contractors to deliver outstanding renovation results. Let's dive in. After completing the renovation, follow up with the customer to ensure their satisfaction and address any remaining concerns. Provide maintenance tips and guidance to help them preserve the results of the renovation for years to come. Thank you for joining us for this pro tip on planning thorough renovations. Stay tuned for more expert advice brought to you by Floor & Decor Bailey's Crossroads.
A lot of people tolerate ordinary. Ordinary bathrooms, kitchens, entryways. Well, not on your watch. If you're a pro, you've got a new partner in town. Floor & Decor. From tile to wood to stone, Floor & Decor has more styles and job lot quantities of Schluter, Mapei, Laticrete, and other brands pros trust. Come see a whole new way to wow with Floor & Decor. Coming soon to Bailey's Crossroads.